like in your outtakes, right?
Exactly.
Bloopers.
Hi, I'm Angela Potaczek, and I am an art therapist and a licensed counselor, and I also am an artist and a jewelry designer. And my part in this apART show, I'm one of 3 artists who participated in mailing each other artwork over the past 10 months, unknowingly in the midst of a pandemic. So this is our way of connecting.
Hi, Angie. Before we did this show, how did you prioritize making art? Did that priority change after taking part in this commitment for 10 months?
Yes, it changed a lot. Before doing this show, I would only make art when I had like 2 or 3 hours at a time because the way I live in a small 1-bedroom condo, so I have to pull all my art supplies out from 5 different places. So I needed extra time to set up and then put things back away. So I would wait until I had 2 or 3 hours of time set aside, and it just didn't happen that often. So becoming a part of the show and making that commitment sort of gave me permission then to take out my stuff and even dedicate a corner in my living room with all my art stuff and have that responsibility really to the commitment that I made to Eric and to Julie, to be part of this show. So now I make time to do my artwork, even if it's just something small like playing with a phone app or going outside to shoot some cool photos with the ice and the winter. It's a nice little break. So yes, it has changed.
Okay, so this piece is called Virus, and this was done in March or April, right around the time when it was pretty clear that we were going to be locked down for quite some time. So this piece represents how I felt as a small little tiny human trapped in my bubble, actually becoming part of the virus that was around me and feeling sort of sucked in by the virus and a part of the virus at the same time, and yet separate from the virus, protected by my favorite color, which is turquoise. So that's what this piece is about. This piece is called Breathe, and it was one of those pieces that just sort of came together by accident. When I go to work on a spontaneous project, it sounds sort of like an anomaly. I'm working on a spontaneous project. I put a lot of different materials around me, and then I just sort of pick whatever looks okay next to each other. And I was having a hard time. I knew I wanted the rib cage to be in there, and I knew I wanted this shot of a sunset to be in there. And when I had the sunset horizontally, it didn't work out. And so then I just left the papers there, and I saw it vertically, and the rib cage on top of the sunset vertically worked. And it just gives me that the freedom and the expansion that I feel when I'm out in nature, especially near the ocean, just allowing myself to breathe. And I used an x-ray because I think a lot of people that are being sick right now with COVID get their chest x-rayed, and that's how they find out they have pneumonia. So this was my way of sort of breathing in that healthy air and being healed by nature.
Describe how this art by mail exchange process affected you, especially during this pandemic.
This was a really healing process for me, just to be able to make art once a month in the midst of a pandemic. It allowed me to deal with my own fears of death. I lost my father in April, so during the course of this time that we were working on this art project, and he had a heart attack. And so I was dealing with that loss and just the whole concept of being isolated, not really being able to have a real funeral for him. It just really, making art really helped me to sort of process those fears, and witnessing the death all around and everything politically that was happening and the rioting. It just seemed overwhelming at times. So the art was an escape, and I think that it felt good to connect with Eric and with Julie through sending the art through the mail.
This piece is called Comfort, and after my dad passed away, I just felt like I needed to be comforted and protected, so I made this piece with a little bead that sparkles, being nestled in soft velvet and then surrounded by this swirling, healing fabric, so it helped me to get through that grief.
Psychologically speaking, why do you think it's so much easier to watch other people live, for example, binge watching television shows versus engaging in activities that truly feed the spirit and the creative mind?
Well, that's a good question. I think that to be able to choose to have activities that feed the creative mind and spirit takes work, and it takes dedication, it takes commitment. And then on the other hand, when you choose to binge watch or live through other people's lives, there's like this untouchable sort of, okay, I'm just going to be passive about this and just watch somebody else go through a crisis while I can sit back and observe. And I could easily see how that kind of activity becomes addictive because it lights up the part